welcome back, and welcome to all the new dreamers who stopped by DawnDares2Dream today to see what we're all about. Well, I'm out here walking with my mother.
Good morning.
And today we're actually going to talk about this whole COVID testing prior to travel. My mother hasn't, well, she experienced it on the cruise ship, right? Well, you guys had to get the COVID test on the cruise ship?
What about it?
You experienced that, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So I didn't realize when you travel with a cruise, you had to get a COVID test. So let's start with that. So we didn't get one. I knew you had to be vaccinated. They said everything about that when you do your online check-in, all that is there. But they talk about COVID like on this little link at the top of the page that you click on, which makes no sense to me. So there were a lot of people when we cruised in November 2021, that were either not getting on the ship, which I thought about because I was upset because I said the COVID test is free and I have to come and pay you guys $150 per person. That's $300. And I really didn't want to pay it. I think there were a lot of people who had more people in their party. It was just me and my mother. Can you imagine how much money that is depending on how large your party is? And there were a lot of people who hadn't gotten the email that said you need to get tested. It was a mess in my opinion. I was very upset about it. And I did kind of cause a ruckus. I spoke my mind in that a cruise terminal. But that being said, we did get on the ship because as you know, I have 5 videos. If you haven't watched them, at the end, I'm going to put them up here for you to go take a look at so you can see all the fun that we actually had on that particular cruise. But I also had to take the COVID test before I did a land-based trip, which I knew about. I went to Jamaica for my birthday, August 2021. And that's funny because I didn't even think about that. My birthday's on the 21st. So that was 08/21/21. I need to look up that angel number and see what that means. 21/21. I didn't even catch it back then. But back on topic. So I did that, but I don't really get this whole test before you leave the country and test, to come back in, because how accurate are the tests, really? How accurate are they? I kind of feel like at that moment in time, people are testing negative, but that doesn't mean the next hour or the next day that they wouldn't test positive. So I don't understand how the testing is actually validating anything. I feel that it's a false sense of security. Now, whether they test it or not, I still would travel. I'm one of those people. I'm at the point where I've decided, as you know, to get back to as normal of a life as I can. It's Monday. I gotta put the trash out. I'm like, why are these trash cans out? Why is the trash cans out? Because it's Monday. Yeah, when you work from home, guys, I'm telling you, you kind of forget. You forget the days of the week and things like that, but I never forget Friday. So yeah, I feel like we get these tests and we go out of the country, go on vacation or whatever, and we have this false sense of security because everyone got tested, but I don't really think it holds any water. But also, like when I went to Jamaica, my father was like, you can't be going out of the country. Oh my God, why you do that? What you do? I'm like, Dad, I can get COVID in the grocery store. Like, there are more positive cases on a daily basis in the Houston Metro at the time in August than there were popping up in Jamaica. So why, and so I don't get it. So why am I more afraid to go there than I am to just walk out my front door? So like I said, guys, I've decided to just continue to travel. Oh, they have like a big look. They got a big look, guys. They got the giant inflatables, the giant air balloons, as they're also called. So I've just decided to continue to live, and I'm glad that we're doing all this testing, and the U.S. is trying to keep itself safe from people coming from other countries to come in here. And I think that's more about the variants than it is actually being testing positive for COVID. I don't think it's about the positive test in general, but it's about bringing the variants back here. But the tests are not necessarily, they may be accurate to some extent, but they're not 100% accurate. And they're also, not only they're not 100% accurate, also it could be accurate for that point in time. So I feel like it's a false sense of security, like I've said before. But that being said, I'm going to follow all the rules that I have to follow. And I decided to do this video today because In a few days, like Friday, I leave to go on a cruise out of Los Angeles with my sister, and I'm trying to get my COVID test, and I had to go through my doctor's office. Now, what my doctor's office did not inform me is that they've changed the test that they use. They're no longer doing PCR tests. They're doing this thing called the Q test, QUE test. And this test is like it's a rapid test. You get it back in 20 minutes, but I'm not sure the cruise line takes that test. So I'm here to admonish you, or to inform you, to make sure you take the proper test for the vacation that you're taking, for the country that you're going into, because everybody has different rules. And so you can go on like the CDC website, or you can Google the country you're going to and COVID test requirements, and you can get the specifications for your particular country, because they're not all the same. Also, if you're cruising and you're cruising to a country that requires you to be have had a negative COVID test before you come, you need to make sure you're taking the right type of test for that particular country, because it's not just about the cruise ship, because you're getting like a special permission to get off the ship, because if you don't get the proper test, you can't get off the ship in that particular country. I've only been to Mexico cruising, and Mexico doesn't even require that you get a COVID test to go into their country. So there are no extra requirements that you have to worry about with going to Mexico. It's kind of simple, kind of easy, and that's what I like. But when I did go to Mexico this year too, June 2021, for my cousin's birthday, and it was a little nerve-wracking in the beginning, because I was like, I don't want to catch COVID. I can't get back to the U.S., and they're not testing for people to get into COVID. So again, that was my first trip out of the country this year. So when that trip occurred, I was a little bit more on edge, but I went to that on June, then I went out to Jamaica again for my birthday alone, and I just stopped being as scared. And then by the time I went on the cruise with my mother, I wasn't scared at all. You know why? Because you don't have to get tested when you're taking a cruise ship to go out of the country and come back. You just get off the ship and you go home. Now, if you have symptoms or whatever while you're on the ship, they'll quarantine you, and they have all these protocols that they follow, because there have been people who have gotten infected with COVID on cruise ships. But the numbers hasn't made them decide to stop cruises again, because the number is minimal in comparison to the amount of people that are on the ship. Like 1% or less than 1% of the people have been impacted on the different ships that have had it happen. And there was some news lately about one Carnival cruise where people had got infected. I don't know what the ship was, but it was only like 15 people out of like 1,000, you know, or however many thousands of people that were on the ship. So it's really not that big of a deal. More people get infected in your city. But I think the concern about being on a cruise ship versus any other form of travel, or like even being on a plane, is that everybody is inside in a small area. When you go to a land-based vacation, you're just kind of out and about. You can actually do everything outside that you choose to. Outside of your room is inside of a building, you know, elevators and things of that nature. You wear your mask. But if you're like just on the beach, or your excursions are out on the beach, you wear your mask when you're traveling to your excursions from your hotel. So there's some precautions that you would take, just like you take when you're home. But you know, there's always a risk. And the question is, if you're not up for it, then don't travel. But if you do, make sure that you are following the rules and regulations and doing what you can to be safe. Still use your hand sanitizer, still wash your hands a lot. For me, I'm a very social person. It's kind of hard for me not to like be in people's faces that I meet and chit-chatting and that kind of thing. It's kind of interesting. I still do those things. You know, and the irony with the cruise ship is they do all this to have us tested. They want us to wear a mask, like in the elevators and stuff, but they still seat people together in the dining room that don't know one another. When we go to the comedy lounge, there isn't any social distancing. We're all sitting right next to each other. So it's like, are you trying to keep us safe or not? You know, you say all these things, you do all these things, but in the end, you're still packing us in. Just like on a plane, you know, we're all sitting next to each other. I don't know you, you don't know me, I don't know what you've been doing. And if you're traveling within the U.S., you've had no COVID test to get on that plane, because planes don't require it. So I just think it's all just a bunch of hoopty-doopy-doopy-doo hogwash. But again, I still do things to be as safe as I think I need to be. And you guys know, my son had COVID. He caught it in school. He was home with us, recuperating. And me and my mother, we didn't catch it at all. I have a boss right now who's supposed to take this huge family trip with, you know, 2 cousins' families and his family. And guess what? The other 2 families got COVID. And so they won't be going. And then his mother flew to him, didn't know she had COVID. And then got here, just didn't, I guess, feel too good. And poop, she had COVID. They thought they were going to catch COVID, but they didn't. Grandma just had it and she got well and everything was fine. But you just never know with this COVID thing, who is it going to impact negatively or in a major way, what it's going to do to you, why you have it, the impact of it after you have rid yourself of that virus. You just don't know. But that being said, I'm about to go on my cruise, and that's what brought this about. I tried to get a COVID test today. And so now I'm going to go to CVS pharmacy. I'm going to get my test at CVS, and I'll see how easy that goes, whether or not my test comes back in 2 days like I need it to. Because for cruising, you got to get if you're vaccinated, in most cruises, you have to be fully vaccinated in order to cruise, okay? Fully vaccinated. And then you have to take, not 3 days prior, 2 days prior to your trip, you take your COVID test. COVID tests typically can come back between 24 and 48 hours. They're usually going to send it to your phone online. So maybe by the time it's time to board the ship, if you haven't gotten it right away, that in 24 hours, you'll definitely get it in 48. So I'm going to go online and schedule. My local CVS is actually doing testing. I Googled it earlier while I was on the phone waiting with my doctor's office. But make sure that you check the rules and regulations, because again, they are ever changing. And I look forward to the day where all of this testing really isn't necessary, because somehow COVID becomes normalized in our society and we know how to deal with it. We know how to help people through it so that it's not impacting our day-to-day in such a major way as it is now. And I know we've come a long way, but I know we still have a little ways to go. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Also remember to leave me a comment down below with any questions that you may have. My face is going to be up here in a circle, so if you're not subscribed to my channel, click on my face, select the gray bell, select all. That way you'll be subscribed to my channel and you'll be notified to all the new content that I place up here to YouTube. And last, I'm gonna, like I told you earlier, I'm gonna put the my Carnival cruise, the 5 videos I have about that up here. And I'm also gonna put the Instant Inspiration videos series as well. You know, the Instant Inspiration is about giving you anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes of inspiration so that you can jumpstart your day. Love hanging out with my dreamers. I hope this was an informative video. Have a great day, dreamers.